Welcome to today's video and welcome to my channel, Game of Life 411. I was recently planning a vacation to Spain and Portugal to hike the Camino Santiago with a friend of mine, and I thought, I wonder if I can make this trip even more special by renting a fun supercar, something I'd never have a chance to own, sort of a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So I checked with my wife, she gave me the green light, and I started looking into different ways to rent cars like Ferraris or Lamborghinis. As it turned out, renting a Ferrari F8 was my choice, but renting it for 2 days in Portugal cost more than the rest of my entire 3-week vacation. So it's kind of crazy. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, please take a second and subscribe right now. I'm not just asking for your support, I'm trying to earn it. I've probably spent about 40 or 50 hours this week creating content for this channel, and I've committed to putting out new content every week. My goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers by October. That's the 1-year anniversary of my channel, and that'll allow me to fully participate in the YouTube Partner Program. But I'll need your support to do it. So please check out some of my other car videos, and if you or your friends and family are going through total hip replacement, check out my hip vlogs. I'm wearing my Ferrari hat today. I've actually had this for many years because I've been a longtime fan of the Ferrari F1 team, but I'm really more of a BMW guy. I've been driving BMWs for over 20 years now. So I'm also wearing my BMW Performance Driving School shirt. And in these Ferrari videos, you'll see I'm wearing a BMW Performance Driving School hat, because that's my favorite. My total trip cost was about $4,000. That's for an 18-day trip, so about 2.5 weeks. The cost for renting the Ferrari when all was said and done was about $5,000. And that was just for 2 days. Really, I only wanted to rent the Ferrari for a single day, but the companies over there really wouldn't do that for you. They wanted you to do a 3-day minimum. So after I'd researched several firms and got comfortable around the process, I finally found one that was willing to rent for just 2 days. So in the end, I would have gotten the same car from either party regardless. But I got a 2-day rental instead of a 3-day, which was really helpful because this was already crazy expensive. Now you can't just go down to Hertz or Avis to rent one of these cars. You have to go with a company that specializes in these high-end luxury sports cars. It's a little bit of a scary process because number one, they require you to provide a pretty significant deposit up front. It's like $1,500. And they want to see a copy of your credit cards front and back, your passport, all kinds of information. So what I did is I used one bank account and one credit card and specifically put just the funds in there that would suffice for the car rental and deposit. You have to provide a deposit of like $7,000 when you take rental of the car. And I'd heard some horror stories of people having their entire deposit being taken and being charged for damages that they had not incurred. I was able to get comfortable around a couple firms after spending some time talking with those folks and researching reviews and things like that. The other aspect of this process that was kind of confusing was the cars are not necessarily available in every location. But what these intermediaries will do is they arrange for the car owners to provide the car, and then they provide transportation to wherever the customer is. So we were planning a trip to northwestern Spain, sort of along the Atlantic coast, and then we were going to hike the Camino Santiago, which is in sort of that region of Spain as well. And then we were going to go down to Portugal, which again is further down south on the Atlantic coast, and spend some time there. So I was really agonizing over where would be the best place to rent this Ferrari F8. And I went back and forth so many times, looking at different routes, researching roads. I use a website called roadcurvature.com, which highlights the curvy roads anywhere in the world. It's pretty cool. I'll show you some pictures because it will actually color code them different ways depending on how curvy the roads are. But that's not the only factor you have to consider. I also wanted to find roads that weren't going to be very heavily trafficked and looking for roads that didn't have a lot of intersections because that represents risk and danger. You don't want to be enjoying a spirited drive at high speed and then all of a sudden some slowpoke pulls out right in front of you. Very dangerous. In the end, I settled on Lisbon, Portugal, because I noticed that there were some green areas both to the northwest and to the south of Lisbon, where there were very large, I think they were national parks or something, and they had some really nice curvy roads in those parks. So Lisbon is where I ended up taking the rental, and it was absolutely perfect. Those roads were awesome. There were some that had a little bit more traffic than others, and I just stayed away from those. So for example, when I went on day 2, I started along a twisty coastal road, and it turned out that there were all kinds of people parking along the side of the road and going to the beach and things like that. But thankfully there were some additional roads that were sort of inland a little bit, And those were mostly isolated and not with a lot of traffic. And if there was traffic, I could just pull over and I could literally wait 2 or 3 minutes before the next car would show up, and then I'd get out right in front of them and have some more fun. So if you're ever traveling to that part of the world, I'd highly recommend Lisbon. There are some really fun twisty roads around there that are not very busy. To further explain how the rental worked, the company that I actually contracted with another company that was based in Madrid. And so the driver actually put the Ferrari into a trailer, drove it to Lisbon, parked the trailer at the airport, and then drove the Ferrari to my location. It was an Airbnb. We spent about an hour going over the car, making sure to video and document any existing damage, and him explaining some of the points about how to operate the vehicle. And then he went back to the airport and flew to Madrid for the couple days that I had the rental. 2 days later, he flew from Madrid back to Lisbon and took an Uber from the airport to the Airbnb where we were staying. We went over the car. Unfortunately, I did cause some damage to one of the wheels, and I'll talk about that in a subsequent video. But we went over that process, and he took the car, he drove it back to the airport where he had his trailer, loaded it up, and then drove back to Madrid. So that's how it works. So if you have any additional questions about what it's like renting a car like the Ferrari F8 or a Lamborghini over in Europe, please post in the comments and I'll do my best to answer your questions. I've got a bunch of other content planned. I'm planning on sharing my drives of the car. Also, we had a little unexpected off-road adventure. P.S. Ferraris don't do well off-road. We made a visit to the Estoril racetrack, which is an old Formula One racetrack, and I did some donuts in the parking lot there. And I'd also like to do a comparison video of the Ferrari F8 with the Emira, the Lotus Emira, because I'm going to be taking delivery of one of those in a few months, and also 2 cars that I currently own, the Lotus Elise and the Alfa Romeo 4C. But if there's anything else that you'd like to see or know about my experience, please post it in the comments and I'll do my best.